Are any of you sophomores? Yeah.
Are you a sophomore?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry. I guess I should have said.
I figured.
Yeah.
So I've heard mostly everyone's making stuff all great about pushing.
Oh,
I'm a statistics major.
Are any of you out of state? Where you from?
Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My aunt was nearby and she was like really rude for me to go here. I was like, I think it would be nice. This sounds like a year, so I'm glad I came. Yeah, my sister goes to college. I went to my house. She was like, I'm not leaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things that they're really not personal notes on my resume though. I just so I had to find kind of a way
You on spring break plans? Where do you work?
I work at Camp 4, which is a treatment company, and I also work in financial
Are you going to the career fair? You already have an internship? Or do you have plans or something?
Yeah. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still on the hunt. What are you doing?
I'm doing like the automation and research.
With him?
It's like Novo Nordisk.
Okay. I haven't heard of that.
They're like, yeah, they're like the European.
Do you know where it's going to be?
Yeah, it's like
How far is that from here?
25. So. Yeah. Wait, what are you looking for? Like a internship?
Yeah.
Okay, has everyone had enough time to read through and kind of pick out some good and bad things?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes? Yes. Good. Cool. So one thing, I did hear a lot of comments from people about this. So I do want to address, so this is a real cover letter that I wrote and used to apply for a real job. And it was my first real internship. And it was actually with this program as the summer intern. So I was with this program for a year, and then I applied to be the summer intern, and now I'm back with the program. So I was kind of in a unique situation because the woman that I was writing this to is kind of one of my mentors. She's very familiar with me and what I've done. I'm very familiar with her. I had to call her Miss Bullock, which is super weird because I've always called her by her first name. But I had to get really creative with the examples that I picked because, like I said, it was my first real internship, so I didn't have other jobs I could pull on. The only other job I had to pull from was career ambassadors, and since she knew me so well from this program, I wanted to kind of branch out from that. And the only other things I had to talk about that I thought were my engineering group projects, which really weren't relevant. So I had to get super creative, and I picked Service Rally and an honors contract, that I did, which aren't the typical things that you'd think to write about for a cover letter, but I really wanted to highlight that because a cover letter is where you have the chance to get creative. If you don't see things that pop out at you on your resume, or when you think about it for something good to write about, find something creative and find a way to twist it to fit the job. So that's kind of what's happening in this cover letter. And now we have more candy and another little goodie bag. So I want to hear from y'all, what do you think was good? Yes?
How you didn't say I in the beginning of all your sentences, you found ways to reword it,
Yeah.
which is what I need to work on.
So personal pronouns. You can stay away from them. It's great. Congratulations. Thank you for volunteering. Who else? Good things. Yes, and then Elisa, so Meredith and Elisa? Elise.
So you immediately contacted Ms. Bullock after speaking to her about the internship, so she had it fresh in her mind that you were interested, and then you followed up with a cover letter to further prove that you want to do the job and that you're very qualified for the job.
Right, so the quicker you do it, the less likely they are to have forgotten what you look like and who you are. So, here's your candy, and Elise.
So for your two experiences, rather than having your star like for each one, I mean, you wrapped it up in one paragraph. How both of those will help you effectively complete the duties.
Right.
Can you guys hear over here?
Okay, good. And that was another place where I had to get creative because I spent a lot of time trying to write that middle paragraph because it was like, okay, I have these things, I have the results, but they're kind of they were similar enough that I didn't want to, I thought I'd be repeating a lot if I did like star method. So I had to get creative and rewrite it so that I could I explained everything and then kind of showed the results at the end. Anybody else? Good things. Bad things? You won't hurt my feelings. I already got the job.
Oh, well, in the sentence where it mentions the University Scholars Program, all this great that you mentioned that you didn't mention the graduation requirement. Because it makes it seem like you're doing it as required.
Like saying both, it's in the middle paragraph, last semester I completed a self-initiated honors contract through the University Scholars Program for credit towards the program's graduation requirement. So to say self-initiated is great, but to say for credit and to say a graduation requirement, you could have maybe left out, because it doesn't just sell you as much. Not that you should be leaving things out, but you know what I'm saying.
Right, so if I just said self-initiated, I'd be like, oh, awesome, like she's doing all these things because she's so motivated, but I said for credit and that kind of instantly drops me down a notch in why I decided to pursue that. So that's a really good critique. Yes?
So, I like how at the end you talked about how much you already put into the job and how interested you were, and it's kind of like, you know, reiterated how much you wanted to do because you already.
Right, so again, this was a unique situation, but that same principle should carry over even if you haven't had experience with the company before. Like, make sure they know how much you want the job and how much you want the chance to talk with them, because interviews are really what make or break it. Yes?
Where you say, I am in charge of arranging the meeting and carpooling,
Right.
you could have just said, I arrange the meeting and carpooling, like instead of that.
Right, you're right. So keeping your sentences concise is really important. I do have a tendency to flowery up my language, which is not always the best thing. Like, sometimes you just need to keep it easy to read and very clear.
Is there anything else that really stood out to anyone with this sample? Yep.
How do you apply your previous experience and stuff directly towards your job that you're talking about as in the last two paragraphs?
Right, so the key point, you can talk for days and days about what you've done, but you need to be able to drive it home as to why it matters for this one specific job. Not for life in general, but this one company, this one job. Why is it important for them to know that you've done these things?
Okay. Anything else about this activity?
Oh,
I
yes.
noticed as well, it's sometimes really hard to advocate for yourself and say
Yeah.
I know that I'm gonna be good at this, and you just say it.
Right, and that was really hard for me. It was a lot harder for me to write this cover letter than I thought it would be. When I sat down to write it, I was like, oh, I know this lady, I know this position, this is gonna be super easy to write. And then I was sitting there 10 minutes later with a blank screen, and I was just like, it's really hard. It's another thing, women actually have more trouble with this than men. Not that we don't all get self-conscious, because we totally do. But being able to advocate for ourselves, and that's gonna be a really important skill come time for an interview. Because you need to be confident in your, losing my word, skills and what you can contribute. You need to be confident in that, and that goes for everyone. So yes, I'm
Really
glad that I was
good
able to
point, Elise.
portray that because I was trying to, and it was really hard for me.
And you want to make sure you're doing that not just in your cover letter, but then also in the interview, in your
Just
resume.
in life.
Yeah.
Y'all are all winners.
You're amazing.
Just be confident in yourself every day.
And then does anybody have any questions on anything that we've covered so far? Yeah?
I had a question about when you're addressing it to a specific person. So like, I'm applying for like jobs like Schneider, who's like a multinational corporation, and I'm sure they have like hundreds of hiring managers. And so I didn't know if y'all had any recommendation of how to go about, like, should I just like list a random person and like, I don't really know how to go about that because it seems, I guess, awkward to me. It's like, this person addressed it to me and I don't even know who they are. If that makes sense, like.
I mean, so the question was if there are multiple people or, you know, you just don't know the person, should you still address it directly to them? And in your case, with a lot of people that can be kind of tricky, but in terms of just like addressing it to someone you've never met, it's not quite as weird as you think. I had to do the same thing with my co-op and I had never met the man. So it was a little weird, but he was able to, like, he knew that I took the time to research and like know who exactly I was going to be talking to in my interview. So when we were interviewing, I was like, as I mentioned in my cover letter, because I knew he specifically had seen it because I had addressed it to him. In terms of your situation, if there's any way to find like the regional hiring manager or something like that, you go with that. Or if there's just multiple people who do it, you can say to Dear Board of Recruiters. There's a better way to word that Alex is pointing at.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex. I'm
This is Alex.
the career asset coordinator.
He's hanging
I
out in the
help
back.
supervise the CAs. In your case, I would suggest that you start off by calling the office that you'll be interviewing with. So any multinational corporation will have a regional office, and they're going to have administrative assistants or desk receptionists who will be able to direct you to that information. If you are unable to find that, while yes, we do recommend you find a specific employer or a specific person to write your cover letter to, you can always just write it to the address of the company, and in the line where you would address the person, it's just to whom it may concern. But that's only after you've exhausted all other efforts to find out who you'll be talking to.
Any other questions? All right, and then we're just gonna go over a couple of final things with you guys in the last
Right,
part.
so it's on your handout, email heading format. So your address, the date, their address, salutation.
Okay, so then just a couple of final things to consider. Once you've written your cover letter, you've used our template, you've used everything you learned today. Just some final key things I'm gonna hit on is to really make sure you're being concise, really make sure that you're tailoring all the qualifications that are listed, that you have to the ones that are listed in the job posting. So in the job posting, they say they're looking for a self-starter, they're looking for someone independent. Those are things that you wanna be hitting on. You wanna be using specific examples from your resume. You wanna save and send this cover letter as a PDF to them, not as a Word document, because that's just a little messier and like depending on the systems, whatever. It's just like clean, professional to save it as a PDF, your final copy before you go send it. And then, of course, as in with your resume, make sure that you have correct grammar and spelling, get someone to look over it. You want this to be perfect.
And the Career Development Center does have cover letter critiques as well as resume critiques. So if you need someone to look it over, we do offer those services.
And we have drop-in hours where you can come get a critique that we'll hit on a little bit later.
Thank you letters that only work for when an employer is considering your resume and your cover letter. This is also pretty good after an interview. You can either email a thank you letter or send it handwritten. This will make you stand out a lot because, being honest, no one handwrites a note no one does that today. So, but you can just email it. It will be just as good because not a lot of people actually send thank you notes after submitting an application for a job. And when you do this, if you end up doing it, remind the employer that you're thankful for their time because all of our time is really precious. And remind them of the position you applied for and why you're so thankful for the opportunity, basically.
So then the final thing we want to hit on is when should you send your thank you letter? as soon as possible. That day, if you can, the next day. You want them to get it soon because then you're still fresh in their mind, and also, I mean, still it would be polite, but what's the point really if it's after they've picked the candidate for the job? Like, you wanna get your cover letter, I mean, your thank you letter in as soon as possible. And you should also be writing thank you letters to your references, because, I mean, it's just nice of them.
It's not something that people tend to think of, but it's good practice. And the other thing is picking whether it's in a handwritten or an email, that can also depend on the rate of turnaround. So a lot of times companies will say like, have a decision within, by the end of the week, or we'll let you know in the next 10 to 15 days. In which case, if it's by the end of the week, like you might want to email it just so you know it gets there on time. Like Megan said, it can be a little bit awkward if like you pick someone else and then they get your thank you note. Although not that I would pick anybody other than you guys because you're here, obviously. So leave that let that be your deciding factor on whether or not you want to email it or handwrite it.
And then for our final slide, we just wanted you guys to, if you've been to a lunch before, you've seen this before, if you can get out Snapchat or go to this website. If you're on Snapchat, it's that box on the right. And if you can review our lunch, tell us feedback you have, any tips. And then if anyone has any more questions or wants to come up and talk to us individually, feel free to. Does everyone have it working? Does anyone need help? This just helps us get some feedback so we know like what you guys want to be hearing, if there's any information we should be covering, stuff like that. So thank you. Nice. Yeah, that's good. Now we know you did. Does everyone have this information? Yeah. So then, this is just a final note for you guys, just to see while you're walking out. Just so that you know, we have our walk-ins welcome at Poland, and that's 11 to 2, Monday to Friday. If you ever want to get your resume critiqued, or your cover letter, or
Just chat about
anything you need.
where you want your life to go.
We also have extended drop-in hours that happen today and tomorrow as well for the career fair coming up. It'll be 10 to 4 instead of 11 to 2.
Thank you. 10 to 4. Okay, and then if you guys are finished with that, have a great night. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.